Welcome to the Archie Real Estate Podcast, where we keep real estate simple for the new realtor, investor, or client. And now, your host, Muhammad Archie.
What's up, my people? Welcome to episode 4. There's no turning back now. The Archie Real Estate Podcast. The guest today is me. So we're going to talk a little bit about buying a home. So you want to buy a home, how to start, where to begin, what is this process like? It's a lot. I always tell my clients all the time, especially if you're a first-time homeowner, this is the first time you're buying a home, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. You want to try and keep those emotions in check as much as possible, but it's going to go up and down and all over the place. That's just kind of how this thing works. And our jobs as a realtor is to keep you on course to accomplish that goal that you set out. So I think a big part of this whole process is, number one, setting that goal. What are you looking to buy? Are you buying your forever home? Are you buying something that you just want to get into for now? Do you just want to own a home? Do you want to create an asset? There's so many different reasons as to why you want to buy a home. And I think the first thing you want to do is sit down and say, this is why I want to buy a home. Okay. So let's start there. Start with the whys of everything. Got to start with the why, So you gotta know why you want to buy this home. Okay. Then you got to prepare yourself to buy this home. I have clients. Disclaimer, early. I'm not talking about any clients in particular. This is generalizations. It's just things that have happened to me over these years in real estate. So I'll have clients that have come to me and they're ready to buy a home, or so they think. What's your credit score? 480. Oh, wait a second. That's the first thing you want to look at. If your credit score is a 480, I would advise you not to. You're not ready yet. I do have lenders that can go as low as a 540 on a credit score, and they can approve you for an FHA loan. But I would advise, if you're playing in that credit score range of, even a 540, just focus on getting your credit score up a little bit. Because when you do get this home, which can become an asset, you don't want to lose it. And you want to be prepared to pay that mortgage. So I always say, make sure your credit score is optimal. You want to get it as high as you can. So that's number one. You want to be ready credit-wise. Now, you also have to have the money. So you have to sit down and say, okay, what is this transaction going to cost me? So you want to think about your down payment for your loan. You want to factor in your closing cost. These are things that are going to be your total amount of money that you need to purchase this property. So a lot of questions I'll get. Hey, I have 3.5% down on a loan. Why do my numbers look different? Why does it look like I'm paying more than 3.5%? Because you are. 3.5% is what you're putting down in the loan. But then when you buy the property, you have to couple that with your closing costs. What are closing costs? Closing costs is going to be your transfer tax that you have to pay. Transfer tax is when you sell a property, you have to pay a tax for purchasing or selling it. So, for example, Berks County, majority of Berks County, Reading is not 2%. But the majority of Berks County, where I do majority of my business, is a 2% transfer tax. So that's usually split in half. 1% goes to the seller, 1% goes to the buyer. That can be negotiated as well. There are times in the crazy market when there's strong offers, maybe your buyer wants to pay both sides of transfer tax. So you want to sit down, you want to look at that. So that's part of your closing costs. Transfer tax, you're going to have lender fees, you're going to have title fees, you're going to have realtor fees. Those are all things that you have to pay when you purchase a home. So that's going to go into your total cost. So when I have a buyer and I send them what we call an estimated closing cost, it's going to show you all that. It's going to show you the grand total, the amount you need to get into this home. That's what's going to matter when you're purchasing. So you want to make sure you have that covered. FHA loans are very popular for first-time homeowners. You need a minimum of 3.5% down. There's that old myth of we need 20%. No, you don't need 20% down. In fact, if I have buyers that have the 20%, And I always advise it. Not always, but in certain situations, I will advise, hey, listen, if you don't need to put this 20% down, keep some of this cash. You know, your mortgage may be a little bit higher, but you have more cash in your pocket. So there, you have to determine and decide what's more important to you when you're going through this whole process. But you want to have the money available, obviously. So along with your credit scores being solid, you want to have your money as well. You want to have your down payment and your closing costs ready to go when you're getting into this journey of purchasing a property. I have clients contact me all the time, and they want to take a look at this or take a look at that. And I have the conversation of, well, where'd you come up with this number? What makes you think you can own a property or you can purchase a property at $250,000? Well, it's just an estimate of what I think I can. Well, let's not think about what let's not do that. let's not do that. Let's get in touch with the lender, right? And let's talk to the lender. Here's what the lender's going to do. And this is why you want to have your documents in order. This is another step. Have your documents in order when you're purchasing the property. What are documents? You want to have your W-2s in order. You want to have pay stubs in order, because you're going to need that. That's what your lender's going to ask you for, those things to prove your financials. If you own a business, and this can get a little tricky, because I know a lot of business owners that they write everything off and they say, I didn't make no money this year. I'm not trying to pay anything in taxes. That's fine and all, but when you're going to purchase a property, you have to show some kind of income. So prepare yourself for it. If you know you're going to be purchasing within 2 years, make sure your W-2s look good for at least those 2 years. Don't write everything off for 2 years and say, hey, this is the income that we have. So you have to learn how to present these documents as well. But yes, as a W-2 worker, you do want to have your W-2s. It's going to be different if you're not going to have a W-2, most likely if you're an entrepreneur. But as a 9-to-5er, you want to have your W-2s. Then you also want to have your pay stubs ready to go. Get in touch with the lender. A lender's going to pull your credit scores. Now your credit scores. Okay. You think your credit score right now is probably a 650 because you saw it on Credit Karma or whatever else you saw it on, right? Your lender's not going to see that score. Your lender's going to pull a FICO score, which is going to be different than what you're seeing on a Credit Karma or TransUnion. So be prepared for you thinking you have a 650 and your lender pulls it and you have a 610. Okay. Because they're pulling different FICO scores. Credit is, if you learn the credit game, it can help you get so many things. It can help you get a leg up on a lot of things. So your lender's going to pull your credit score, and they're going to use the credit score that they pull, that they see. Okay. Then they're going to couple that with your financials. They're going to say, this is how much you make per year. These are your last 2 pay stubs showing that you still work there. This is how much we can approve you for. That's a legit number. Let's not go off of an estimate or my friend bought a house for this much. Let's get to a lender and get pre-approved, because now we have a document that says, hey, we have a bank that's going to loan this amount of money to you, right? We're going to loan you. You're pre-approved for $300,000. And that happens sometimes where people come in thinking, oh, I'm only going to be approved for $250,000. They talk to a lender. Lender's like, you could do $300,000, $350,000. Just to throw some numbers out there. So that's why it's always important to talk to the lender, because now you know exactly what you can afford. Okay. So along with that, the lender's going to couple, they're going to say, here's your purchase price. Taxes, you don't want to go over this in taxes, because there's another little thing you got to kind of watch in here. It's called DTI, debt to income ratio. That can throw everything off. Debt to income ratio. So you definitely want to make sure that your ratios are at a level that you can get approved for. If you're making a lot of money, you're spending a lot of money, there's not a lot of room to pay a mortgage. That's going to matter. So you do want to be very cognizant of your DTI as well. So now you got your pre-approval, right? So your pre-approval says, hey, I can purchase this property up to $300,000. That's what I'm pre-approved for. Let's go take a look at homes. Call your trusted realtor. Call me if you can, please. That's, not everybody's going to call me. I get it. But, call your trusted realtor, and they're going to go out and they're going to show you properties. They're going to say, hey, you're pre-approved for up to $300K. Let's start showing you properties and taking a look. So you're going to start the journey of looking at properties and deciding if you like this property, if you don't, what kind of neighborhood you want to be in. There's going to be some particulars that your realtor should ask you about. You may have a neighborhood in mind already. You probably have a number of bedrooms, bathrooms. They're going to ask you what's on your wish list. It's a wish list, people. Remember that. Not all wishes come true, especially in this market. But if you're flexible and you understand where you're at in the market, you could definitely still get a property. In fact, earlier when I said, I have these clients that come to me with a 480 credit score and they want to purchase, they can get a property. It just takes time and focus, because you can bump that 480 score up to whatever, as long as you focused on getting that score up. There's so many different things you can do. You can get things removed from your credit, negative items that are affecting your credit score in a bad way. Get them removed. Keep your credit card balances low. There's a number of things you can do to make your credit score optimal. And in fact, when you're purchasing a home, you probably want to, if you're not, prepared right away, you have time to get prepared. No one says, hey, you have to buy a house at this time. You buy when you're ready. So that means you have time to get your credit score up as high as you can possibly get it. So if you focus on that for a whole year, you'll be amazed at what your credit score can do. And that gives you more buying power. It's going to give you better interest rates. So it's all a big ball. You just got to learn how to dribble it, I guess. So now you got pre-approved. You're out. You're with your realtor. You're looking at properties. You see something you like. You're ready to submit an offer. Every realtor does their process differently. What I like to do, if a client tells me, hey, I'm interested in this property, we just saw it, took a look at it, looks good. The purchase price is within their pre-approval, and they say, hey, I'm really interested in this property. I want to move forth with putting in an offer. The first thing I'm going to do for them is I'm going to write out their estimated closing costs. I'm going to say, okay, you like this property? Do you like the numbers? That's the next question. That's actually probably more important than liking the property 9 times out of 10. Because if you don't feel comfortable paying that mortgage, that nice property is going to be nice, but so the very first thing I do is I send them their estimated closing costs. Say, okay, this is what it's going to look like if you purchase this property. This is how much money you're going to need to purchase it, and this is what your monthly mortgage is going to be around. It's an estimate. And there's estimates. Why do we call it an estimate? We call it an estimate for a number of reasons. One, we don't know what your interest rate is right away because it's not locked in. Interest rates go up and down every day. Okay. Another thing, we don't know exactly the amount of money that you're putting down. So once we can figure those two things out, they're very important. It gives us even more ways to narrow that down to this is what you're paying. So you just always want to be prepared. So I like to prepare my clients the best I can. So I send them the estimated closing costs. Here it is. If they agree to the estimated closing costs, say, hey, this looks great to me. I can do this. I can afford the down payment. I can afford the monthly mortgage. Let's submit an offer. Then we're going to sit down. We're going to strategize. We're going to say, okay, how many offers do they have? What's going on? Is this property in high demand? Has it been sitting on the market? There are still times you can get properties under list value. It's still happening. So there's a number of things you want to sit and look at to craft up your best offer. Another tidbit, I always tell my clients, listen, put your best offer in, especially in a market like this. Put your offer in to say, if someone else pays $1 more than what I have on this offer, I'm okay with that. I can walk away. Because it's just so competitive. The market is it's ridiculous out here. There's not much on the market to sell. There's still a bunch of buyers looking. So if you're thinking about selling, now's a great time. So, and it's a process. You have to have fun with it all. I feel like if you're in this process and you're looking at it to purchase a home and it becomes like, oh, why am I doing this? Then maybe you should sit and think about, why are you doing this? And then it's going to do one of two things. You're going to say, well, why am I doing this? And you're going to decide, I'm not going to move forward doing this. Or you're going to decide, I'm doing this for this reason. So I'm going to get what I came here to get. And those are the buyers that it happens for them pretty quick because they're determined to do it. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. As long as you come in ready and prepared and take advice, take good advice, because as agents, we're not trying to steer you in the wrong direction at all. I don't know many agents like that at all. That's the 100% truth. I don't know too many agents that are going to say, hey, I don't want this to work out the right way. I don't want to get paid. That's not why we do this. So yeah, it's a process. Now, what goes into this offer? What are some of the options? Well, first off is the price. You can sit here and say, I want to offer less than what they're asking. I want to offer more than what they're asking. I think the property's worth this. You're going to come up with that purchase price number. Okay. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to submit that's going to be the purchase price. Then you're going to have a deposit. What's the deposit for? The deposit locks it in. It shows good faith. It says, we're moving forward with this property. This is the one that we want. We're putting our money on the line to lock this thing in. What happens to the deposit? So in a competitive market like this, a larger deposit, it makes your offer more competitive. Just point blank period. It is what it is. So it's going to make your offer more competitive if you're putting down this larger dollar amount. Okay. And once you agree to terms, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get a deposit. Usually it goes to the listing broker. They usually hold the deposit. It can be held by title. A number of places the deposit can be held. As you go through the process, if you close on the property, the deposit will go towards your closing costs. If something goes wrong, like financing or anything of that nature, generally you get the deposit back if there's a mortgage issue and there's a mortgage contingency in the loan, in the offer. Okay. There are times when deposits can be disputed as to who gets the deposit. That becomes a whole other process. But that's the point of the deposit, is to basically lock in the property and show good faith that you're moving forward with intentions to purchase the property. Okay. So you're going to come with the purchase price. You're going to come with the deposit. You're going to come up with a settlement date. The settlement date is the day you can actually close on the property. So what's today? Today's May 18th as we're recording this. Typically, lenders are going to need 30 to 45 days to close out a deal. Okay. If it's cash, you can do it a lot quicker. When I purchase properties, it's as cash. So that's why I get offers accepted a lot of times as an investor, because I'm purchasing cash and it's a quick close. So those two things coupled makes my offer extremely competitive. But as a residential, just purchasing the property, if you're getting a loan, the loan is going to, it's going to take about 30 to 45 days to close that loan out. So that's where you're going to determine your settlement date. So if today is May 18th and I'm writing an offer up today, I may have a settlement date in there of June 18th, just to throw a date out there. So you got those three things. You're going to say purchase price, deposit, settlement date. I know your head's probably spinning, so let's take a break. All right. Purchase price, deposit, settlement date. We also have something on there on the agreement to sell. That's the offer document. It's called the acceptance date. So basically, say I'm writing this offer up today, May 18th, and there's a segment in there that says, hey, I want to have an answer by this date. So I can put in, I want an answer today, May 18th. Crazy market. I want to answer the 19th. I typically give 48 hours for an answer. It's just respect, I guess. So, and that may change. That changes depending on the situation. If they have multiple offers, I want to know as soon as I can possibly know. Typically, I'll give a 48-hour notice and just say, hey, we want an acceptance date of May 20th. So we want to know by then if our offer was accepted or not, or if you're going to counter or how this is going to work. What's a counter? Okay, a counter offer is when we submit an offer at $300,000. Okay, for example, the seller side says, we don't like that number. We don't like that settlement date. We don't like something about your offer. We're going to counter you and say X. You don't want the 300, you want 305, whatever it may be. But that's what a counter offer is. So we have that acceptance date as well. The acceptance date says, hey, let us know by this day what we're doing, basically. You're going to have the option to do inspections. Okay. I tell all my clients, get an inspection if you can. Keywords: if you can. Again, in this competitive market, it gets very tricky to submit an offer, have inspections, have a mortgage contingency, have all these things and get it accepted. The market's calmed down a little bit from where it was absolutely ridiculously crazy, where people would say, hey, if the property's listed at 300, I'll give you 350. And if the appraisal falls short, say the appraisal's at 310, I'll pay the $40,000 gap, the appraisal gap. So what's an appraisal? We're going to take you sideways and through alleyways and all these things because we got to talk about it. An appraisal is when the bank goes in and says, hey, the bank kind of does it's not an inspection, but they go and they do their research. They take a look at the property, they check out the condition, and they're going to compare it to other properties in the area that have sold recently. And they're going to say, hey, as the bank, our appraisal has come back. We feel the value of this property is X. If it matches what's on what you have under agreement, say the bank comes back and says that the appraisal, we think it's worth 300. On paperwork, you say the offer's 300, you're good to go. If it comes up short, the bank says, hey, we think it's worth 275. On paper, you got 300. Now you have that appraisal gap, which is $25K in this instance. And you have to decide, are we going to just renegotiate this? Are we going to, you have options there. Usually. So that's what the appraisal gap could possibly be. So there's a number of things like with the inspections. Now you're going to have the option to do the inspections. You're going to say, let me rewind that a second. There was a time when people were doing crazy things with these offers. Like I said, they were going $50K over asking, paying the appraisal gaps, waiving all inspections, those kind of things. I always advise get an inspection if you can. In this competitive market, it's very difficult to do so. Because there's going to be offers there that are going to say, we're willing to pay you this. We're willing to close on this date. We're going to give you this large deposit. And we're not going to do any inspections. We're just going to let the bank go in and do their appraisal. So now you got to decide, okay, do I feel comfortable moving forward and purchasing this home doing no inspections? There was a time where that was just ludicrous. Crazy. Say you're going to buy a home and on no inspections. It's done. I remember the first time I did like that. I was like, you don't want to do no inspections? I was like, no, I'm okay. It's like, we're trying to get it accepted, right? I was like, the buyer educated me there. I was like, you're right. If you feel comfortable moving forward with no inspections, then we'll move forward with no inspections. But that buyer had some knowledge on homes as well. So I always advise my clients, even if you're going to move forward, no inspections, have some knowledge on homes or have someone around you. Me, I can definitely look at these things and I'm always like, hey, this looks like it's in good condition, but I'm not an inspector, so there is a risk you take when you waive inspections. So you always want to keep that in mind, but you'll have the option to do a number of inspections. I also always tell my clients, keep in mind, every inspection you elect is its own separate cost. These inspections aren't free. It's not just let me click a box here and no. You have to pay for every inspection. So you always want to keep that in mind too. Most popular inspections I see are the standard home inspection. There's termite inspection, radon inspection. Those are the most popular ones I see. If there is a septic system, there's usually always an inspection on a septic system. In this, I can't say usually, there's no usuallys in this business. But you're more likely to get an inspection when you have a septic system there, because you always want to make sure that septic system is working properly, because that can cost a lot of money if it's not. Okay. You'll also have what we call a mortgage commitment date. That's going to be the date where the bank says, hey, we are committed to this mortgage. We're committed to going through with this mortgage process with this client. So you'll get that document that says, okay, we have a mortgage commitment date of, today's the 18th, I may say the end of the month, 30th. That's when the mortgage commitment will get to you. So there's a number of things that are in this paperwork that are in offers that can make your offer competitive, less competitive. It may speak to the seller more. And here's another thing. It's not always about the number. For example, I just had a listing in the city of Reading that we put on the market at $140,000 is the price. Okay. Little townhome. South side of Reading, actually. $140,000. We had about 8 offers. The highest one was at 170, but my seller actually accepted one that was about 10K lower at 160 because he has a tenant there, and the tenant would, with the one at the offer at 160, the tenant would be able to stay in place and continue to pay their mortgage and to continue to pay the rent there. So that meant more to my client than the extra 10K and having to kick out the tenant and all that good stuff. So we were at 140 and he made $20,000 more, so the market is definitely still hot. But then that's when the appraisal comes in and those kind of things. Everything has to add up here. Everything has to make sense. So yeah, it's just, you have to be prepared. It's a number of things. And I have clients, I always tell my clients all the time, just, you got to stay in it. You got to stay in it. I have clients that looked for 2 weeks in this crazy market and got the house they wanted. And so there's over asking too. So it's a crazy market. But they had a game plan and they stuck to it. And they really, really, really took a lot of my advice. And you should trust your realtors. That's a big thing in this business, is trust. You got to trust the people you're working with. If you don't trust your realtors, why are you working with them? It doesn't make sense. So trust is a big thing in this business, and you'll know when someone trusts you or not. And if you're willing to trust your professional that you hired, it makes sense that you should trust them. Take their advice and listen, and you'll get into property. So yeah, you have the mortgage commitment date. Then, there's so many documents. I tell my clients all the time, just whatever the lender asks you for, it's going to sound like a lot. They're going to ask you for it. You give it to them. They're going to ask it for it 3 more times, okay, throughout the whole process. Just bite your tongue. I know you want to say, I already gave them this. I know you did. Just give it to you. Give it to them again. They're asking for it for a reason, okay? So just make the process simple in that sense. So hopefully you get through all that. You get the appraisal. You figure out your inspections. If you get granted inspections, hopefully the inspections go good and everything goes smooth. There's so many different arms that come into a deal as well. You have title that works on the back end. You have the lender that's working. You have the realtor that's the face of everything. So everyone's working to get this deal done. I know it looks so easy on TV. It looks like it's just like, oh, let me show you this house. I'm going to, show you this $1 million home. And then I'm going to go and take this $60,000 commission and just stuff it in under my mattress. It doesn't, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to putting a deal together. There's the underwriter. I'm going to make a flow chart for you guys. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a flow chart that just shows where the work is coming from. And when I sit down and break it down to people that way, especially newer agents that want to get into this business, they respect it that much more because now they see the work that we're actually doing. Now they understand the communication, the showing houses, the writing up paperwork, the making sure everything's going smoothly everywhere and all over the place. And then you're not only doing it with that one client, you're doing it with X amount of more clients. So it's a business, and if you approach it on the realtor side like that way, you'll be fine. But yes, purchasing your first home, it is a roller coaster, but I guarantee you, once you get those keys, and I tell my clients all the time, it ain't over until you have those keys. If you're buying, if you're selling, it ain't over until you got rid of those keys. Okay. Anything can happen in this business, right? So I always prepare my clients for that. I don't want to say I prepare them for the worst, but I let them know there are things that can happen. I know we signed paperwork. I know we got the deposit. I know the appraisal came in. There's still last minute things that just get tossed up in the air all the time. And as a professional realtor, I have to take care of those things. So it's a lot of information. You have my email. You have my text. Always feel free to reach out anytime. So those are some of the things you just want to be prepared for when you're purchasing a home. I think a lot of times as individuals, as people, we're just not prepared for all of this throughout the whole process. You got to think about it. A bank's about to loan you $300,000. Yeah, think about that. They're going to want to know everything. And you have to prove and show everything multiple times throughout the whole process after you get under contract. So it is a process for buying a home, but stay focused, stay in it, and it can be done. Trust me. Even if you're starting from that 480 credit score, it can still be done. It's going to take a little longer than that person started with the 700. But even if you start with the 480, you keep working and working and working and moving towards it. And then when you purchase that home and you started out this process with the 480 credit score, that home purchase is going to mean so much more to you. It's not going to even matter how much you purchased it for. Who cares? But that's going to mean that much more to you when you've bought it all the way up through there. So stay focused and set the goal. You have to say, okay, is this my forever home? Is this a home to start in? Is this a starter home? What are we doing here? And stick with it. And find you a realtor that's going to stick with it throughout the process with you. Yeah. Because realtors are people too. Sometimes we want to quit. But we can't. If that's what you're here to do, is to help people and help them achieve a goal, then you're going to stick with it. So yes, you can purchase a home. Don't be scared. Sit down. I mean, it's not going to hurt to talk to a lender. I have lenders that will look at your information and say, even if you're not ready now, okay, here's what we need to do to get ready. We need to take these steps and you can purchase a home in X amount of months. So let me know if you need help. So buying your first home can also apply to investors, right? I have a lot of people that I know that want to get into investing and want to purchase their first home. And they're like, where do I start? Your network is your net worth. Somebody told me that. I forget who told me that. But it's true. I mean, you got to know people. You know people, the deals will come to you. If you're in the right network, you'll be able to find the financing in the right network. You'll be able to find the contractors in the right network. They're all there for you. You got to find them. I know people think you can do this with no money investing. I don't see it. Find a way to get some money, whether it's yours, someone else's, putting it together, partnering. Find a way to get that, at least a down payment, so you can go to a hard money lender and say, hey, I have a down payment here. I want to purchase a property. Okay. So you have to know a little bit about the business. It's going to be extremely hard if you haven't educated yourself to a certain level investing. You have to educate yourself to some degree. It's not the kind of business where you can just wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to buy me a house. I want to be an investor. Typically. Okay. So you want to have the right network. You have to know how to find these properties, where to find these properties. Okay. I tell people all the time, I'm like, start with the basics. Go driving for dollars. Just drive around your neighborhood and find these distressed properties, high grass, looks like no one's collecting the mail, those kind of things. Okay. Then you figure out how to contact the owners of these properties. So I always, it boils down to finding that property. Because if you find a property that is distressed, you're gonna, if you're resourceful, you're gonna find the resources to purchase that property. So if you find the property and you sit down and say, all right, well, this is distressed. Now what do I do? I got this property distressed. How do I do this? You're going to figure it out. You're going to educate yourself. You're going to ask someone. You're going to look at YouTube. You're going to call me. You're going to call a realtor. You're going to figure out how to get this information on who owns this property and how can I get a hold of them. Okay. From there, you have to have, if you're looking to purchase this property, you need to have the money to purchase it. There's credit unions, there's hard money lenders, there's private money lenders. We will have some of them on the show. Okay. And they actually essentially are your bank. You're going to go to them and say, hey, I have this property. What are the terms? Understand. When I first started with hard money, I think I was borrowing on, it was like 12%. 12% interest. Some people, 12%, I'd never pay that. Well, listen, if I want to get this property and I don't got this cash, I'm going to pay that 12% because I know that's when I started. It's like, I know I need that to do this. Without the money, I don't have the property. So the 12% wasn't the problem for me. I need to get my thing was, okay, we got to get to the big pie. We got to get to the pie here so I can get this property and do that. I'll gladly pay you 12%. So sometimes we have to sit down and think about that. It's, do I want it or do I not? If I do want it, it's going to cost me this. Now it costs me a little cheaper. Okay. And that's because over time, building relationships, they come back and say, okay, we've been doing this long enough. Here's what we can do for you. We know what you do. Here's what we can do for you. But that comes with consistency, perseverance, a number of things. Motivation, you have to stay in it. You have to stay in it. Even with a property, this is a property in general, you have to stay in it. You have to be able to see it through from start to finish. I know so many investors that have purchased properties and ran out of money in the middle of fixing it up. It can happen. So you have to be prepared for those kind of things. It's unfortunate, but it can happen. So that tells me a number of things. Either you purchased the property too high, your renovation budget was way off, you didn't have access to the capital that you thought you did, contractors ripped you off, and you didn't want to pay people twice. So there's a number of things that you have to make sure are in place when you're dealing with this amount of money, because you can lose it really quick. At the same time, if you have the systems in place and you know how to find these properties, how to get a hold of these owners, how to take these properties down and purchase them, now you have something totally different. You got that system in place. All of it boils down to systems. Anything you're doing really boils down to systems. I told my wife the other day, I was like, we need a manager for the home, just to let me know, hey, this bill needs to be paid today, this one's paid tomorrow, because it's a lot. I'm just like, we need just a system that says, hey, pay this bill right now, today. I literally have it in my calendar. It's like, oh, this bill's okay. So systems are extremely important. But start off with the basics. Train your eye. You have to know what you're looking for. I can't even drive down the street, especially when I'm in a new city. I like to be in the passenger seat if I can, because then I can sit there and I can look around and see what's around me and what the properties are, what it looks like. As I'm driving, I got to kind of pay attention. So, and sometimes my attention wanes because I'm looking at this property over here, like, what's the address there? I've pulled over on the side of the road plenty of times because my brain thinks real estate. So it's huge. If you want to get into investing and you want to purchase your first investment property, train your brain to think real estate. All the time. You got to think real estate all the time. Everything is real estate. I was watching something the other day and it was like, real estate is one thing that's here from birth to death. Think about that. You're born in a hospital. A hospital is real estate. You're going to die and you're probably going to be buried in a graveyard. A graveyard is real estate, right? But everything in between is real estate. You're going to go to school. The school is real estate, right? Everything. Real estate is everywhere. So it will draw you in. It can draw you in, and it gives you a lot of options and opportunities with knowing that real estate is everywhere. But you have to train your brain to think real estate and figure out ways how you can. And it may not even be about the money, but how you can monetize whatever it is you're looking to do. If you're looking to monetize, free up more of your time even. Say, hey, this is going to help me do it, and this is how we can get there. You have to have a goal. The same as that residential buyer, the first-time homeowner that's coming in, trying to purchase that property, and they have to have a goal as far as if it's going to be the forever home or if it's just a home they're stopping in for the time being, and they're going to use it as an investment later. You got to have a goal. Are you here to build a huge portfolio? Do you want to do flips? What are you trying to do here? Because then what you can do is you can go back and re-engineer, how do I get there now? I know what the goal is. Now, how do I get there? It's going to be hard to get somewhere without having a roadmap and having no goal to where you're going. Otherwise, you're floating out there. And your goal doesn't have to be massive. Why does it have to be 100 properties? You can do really well with 5. So you decide what that goal is and then go and attack it. But get that first one. And it starts with the knowledge. Not being scared. Building that network. Driving for dollars. Knocking on doors. Those things still work. The old things still work. And then once you get doing that, then you start to build the system where you couple it with technology. Now I can sit here. I can literally sit from right where I'm at, and I can pull up foreclosures anywhere in the country. Anywhere. Zip code, let's see what's going on out there. It's right at your fingertips. So, find that first one. Better yet, set that goal. Train your brain to think real estate if you haven't done that already. And then go out and start looking for that first one. You find the first one, as long as you have some money saved up. Don't get into this thinking I'm gonna have $0 and have some money saved up. So when you do find that first one, you're prepared. Stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. Man. It's not easy. It's not easy to just have cash sitting somewhere ready, but you can get to that point. If you sat down and made a goal, working your 9 to 5 right now, you could sit down and say, I want to save $5,000 this year. Do you ever see that document? There's like a document that it shows you if you put up this amount per week, you have $5,000 at the end of the year.
I'm doing it.
Nice. I've given that to my clients. I'm like, you want to save up down money? Here you go. You got $5,000 towards it at the end of the year. But set that goal and follow through with it and stick with it. And you can own a property and you can own as many as you want. I haven't met anyone that was an investor that someone said to them, hey, you can't own any more properties. You can't have any more. No one's going to stop you but yourself. So, go find them properties. On our next episode, we'll have a lovely guest in here. I'm not going to tell you who that is yet. But we'll have a lovely guest. We'll continue our real estate conversation. You'll actually probably see me do a few of these episodes. This is episode 4, so I'll probably do a solo episode 8, and then we'll finish out episode 12. Probably will be another solo. But in the meantime, we'll have guests on to continue to educate and to continue to discuss their journeys, because it's a journey for anyone in this business. Whether you're buying that first home, it's a journey. That first investment, it's a journey. Building a portfolio, it's all a journey. Life is a journey. If we look at it that way and stop to smell the roses occasionally, we'll have a lot of fun. So yeah, hope to see you guys on episode 5. See you next time. Thanks for watching or listening to the Archie Real Estate Podcast. You can find me on YouTube at the Archie Real Estate Podcast. Find me on Facebook as well, Muhammad Archie. Email me if you have any questions, comments, concerns, marchie@archierealtor.com. Shoot me a text, 484-338-3406. That's my phone number, direct. Shoot me a text. Got any questions? Let me know. I hope to see you on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Archie Real Estate Podcast, and we thank you for listening. Email Archie directly at marchie@archierealtor.com with any questions. If you are ready to begin your real estate search, visit archierealtor.com. See you on the next episode.